and welcome to First Take. I'm Carrie Champion with Skip Bayless in studio. Stephen A. Smith joins us from an icy Philadelphia. How are you?
What's going on, y'all? How you doing?
Good.
It's a big day on First Take because we are literally going to be the first take on Bill Belichick.
The first take on Bill Belichick
I really want Skip Bayless and Kerry Champion, my compatriots, to stop saying stuff like that. It's a big day because of Bill Belichick. It's a big day because it's First Take. It's the crew. That's all that needs to be said.
I'm just more humble about it than you are.
Yeah, we're just I
refuse to be. I don't need Bill Belichick to make First Take big time. I don't need anybody to make First Take big time but you, bro.
Yes.
And of course you, Kerry Champion.
Thank you, kind sir. Thank you. Oh, well, coming up on the show today, there's more leadership issues in Chicago. Is there head coach problems? Some would say he's on the hot seat. We talk about it. Plus, Floyd Mayweather responds to Manny, sort of. We hear.
Yes, he did.
The money. He didn't, but we hear from the money team. He didn't really, but kind of, sort of.
The money team responded. Yes, they did.
Oh, you're all excited.
He better be.
But first, we don't need him to be big time, but we're going to talk about Bill Belichick. He held a press conference this morning to address DeflateGate as it inflates, so to speak. Let's listen.
When I came in Monday morning, I was shocked to learn of the news reports about the footballs. I had no knowledge whatsoever of this situation until Monday morning. I would say I've learned a lot more about this process in the last 3 days than I knew or had talked about it in the last 40 years that I've coached in this league. I think we all know that quarterbacks, kickers, specialists have certain preferences on footballs. They know a lot more about it than I do. They're a lot more sensitive to it than I am. And I hear them comment on it from time to time. But I can tell you, and they will tell you, that there is never any sympathy whatsoever from me on that subject. I can tell you that in my entire coaching career, I have never talked to any player, staff member about football air pressure.
All right. You've heard from Bill Belichick, his press conference just a few moments ago. He answered very few questions, but they gave his side of the story. Skip Bayless, your take on this.
Stephen A., I must tell you that I found Bill Belichick just a few minutes ago to be far more convincing than I expected him to be. I expected tight-lipped. I expected brief, terse non-answers. I expected classic, evasive Belichick. And that's not what we got. We got, and I didn't put my watch on it, I don't know, he spoke for what seemed like 8 or 10 straight minutes without notes. Seemed like he was speaking from the heart. We saw the key soundbite, which was that he's learned more about the pre-game football protocol in the last 3 days than he knew about that protocol in the 40 previous years he's been in football coaching. And it came across as pretty much from the heart. Now, on balance, why should we doubt what he just said? We have two major reasons. Obviously, Bill Belichick was found guilty of breaking a rule, videotaping the opposing defensive signals from the sideline during a football game. And for that, Spygate, he was obviously fined heavily, and they lost the first-round draft choice. So we know he was guilty of that offense, and we also know that Bill Belichick has been accused of being involved in any number of other nefarious dealings involved in gray area rule breaking in previous NFL seasons. And number two, we also know that no coach in the NFL has more dictatorial control of the entire football operation than Bill Belichick has in New England. He is lauded for his great attention to detail. So it is slightly hard for me to believe that Bill Belichick was naive to the pregame football process. He said that's Tom's thing, that's the quarterback's thing, that's the kicker's thing. I occasionally hear them talk about it, but I don't have anything to do with that other than making the balls in practice as hard to throw and catch and handle as he possibly can. making them wet or cold or hard or whatever the conditions they might face that weekend might be. So because he pays such attention to detail, because that's his calling card, it's still slightly hard for me to believe that he knew nothing about this whole process, that it was completely foreign to him. Yet, I balance it off that given Belichick's past press conference history, he did come across as a little more convincing than I thought he would be capable of. So I'm going to slightly lean toward giving him benefit of the doubt in this case.
Skip Bayless, I have no problem whatsoever giving Bill Belichick the benefit of the doubt. I completely believed every word that he said, and I'm going to tell you why, what resonated with me most. He said, I've learned more about this process in the last 3 days than I knew about it over the last 40 years. It is entirely plausible to me that somebody, albeit as meticulous, as tedious, as much of a perfectionist as Bill Belichick strives to be, and his resume speaks to that, it is entirely believable and plausible to me that he was paying no attention to such nonsense. The other thing that resonated with me very profoundly, Skip, on his behalf, was when he sat there and said, I can assure you, any player that I've coached would know that they would get no sympathy from me on such an issue. I totally believe that. Could you imagine somebody coming up to Bill Belichick and saying, I really have a problem throwing good passes because the ball has too much air in it, the ball's a little bit too hard, I can't get a grip on it or something like that? Do you really think that somebody would have the courage to walk up to a Bill Belichick with something that, to me, it's plausibly perceived as being incredibly petty in his eyes? It's a part of the football game. Okay, a football is a part of life, whether it's 12.5 pounds or 13.5 pounds. You've been playing football all at this point. You're a grown man. You've made it to the NFL level, and you're going to pick now to complain about the air in a football? Are you kidding me? Bill Belichick he'd probably lose his mind. So when he said those two things during his press conference, I found it incredibly believable and plausible that that is something that he would sit there and summarily dismiss. He's not doing that. This is Bill Belichick that we're talking about here. So I completely believed every word that he said. I thought he articulated and elocuted himself perfectly. I thought he was far more expansive than he's known to be in his press conferences. He didn't duck anything. He addressed the issue head on, and he said what he needed to say. And as far as I'm concerned, based on that and his resume of excellence, don't give me Spygate as a reason to malign him and knock down these assertions that he is making on his own behalf. We are innocent until we are proven guilty. Bill Belichick has stated his case. Now, if you're the NFL, it's investigators, the media, etc. Go out there and prove him wrong. Because as far as I'm concerned, based on that press conference that I just saw, this man deserves the benefit of the doubt. And I don't know about anybody else, but he's getting it from me.
Okay. I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here, and I'm going to refer to your man, Allen Iverson. We are talking about practice here. When Belichick talked about in your whole theme of having no sympathy for the football, that's in practice to get ready for adverse game day conditions on whenever the game would be, Sunday or Monday.
He didn't say practice.
Yeah, he did. I mean, that's what he was saying, that in practice he makes the balls as difficult to handle, catch, throw as he can, that he has no sympathy then for either his passer or his kickers. But my point to you is, Stephen A., we're talking about a coach who is known to do everything within his power, within the rules and occasionally slightly over the rules, to win football games. So you don't think that he would talk often to his quarterback about, I want you to get the balls exactly the way you want the footballs to feel to you? Surely they would have had discussions about texture, because that's within the rules. You can do whatever you want to get the ball ready to throw. And then inflation, you don't think they would talk about that, because it is such a significant component to being able to throw a football, especially in inclement weather?
I don't think it's a discussion. I don't think it's a discussion.
Man,
I think it's one of those situations where you sit there. I don't think it's a discussion. I think it's one of those situations where, all right, you try to get the football the way that you want to. Go out there and handle it. I could see Bill Belichick. Y'all go with somebody. Y'all go to somebody else with that. I don't see the head coach getting involved in a discussion about the amount of air in a football. I can see the quarterback getting in that discussion with a ball boy.
Yeah.
I can see the quarterback getting into the discussion with that with somebody else. I can't see the head coach of an NFL team actually engaging in conversation about the amount of air in a football. I think Bill Belichick's got other things to worry about. Now again, that doesn't mean that it's definitive. Again, we're not flies on the wall. We don't have a preponderance of evidence to support that he knew. I'm saying to you, based on what we know of him, and by the way, we keep bringing up numerous instances. What numerous instances? It's Spygate. There's the accusation about taping the practice against the St. Louis Rams that have never been proven.
Yeah.
But we know about one incident where he was wrong. He was fined. The team was fined. It cost them a draft pick, a first rounder. We know that. That is it. It's one incident. So all I'm saying is,
but they have been accused of many others, of jamming signals, radio signals, so that the other team can't communicate. There are all sorts of accusations aimed, and they may all be unfounded, but I'm saying no one has been accused more since Al Davis, the late great Al Davis, than Bill Belichick has been accused. You have to.
Al Davis accused Bill Belichick of a thing or two.
All I'm saying
is. Yes, all I'm saying is, working out Randy Moss before they signed him. All I'm saying is that Bill Belichick, to me, I view a conversation. I'm talking about a conversation here. I'm not debating. Obviously, they deflated the balls. I'm saying if the balls were deflated, the balls were deflated. I find it very hard to believe that Bill Belichick engaged in a conversation about the amount of air in a football. Tom Brady might have had the discussion. Bill Belichick might have said, just give him what he needs, something like that or whatever. But I find it very difficult to believe that Bill Belichick sat up there and had a conversation about the amount of air in football. When you bring up practice, Skip Bayless, we're talking about practice. The fact is, you practice under the most difficult of conditions so you can be prepared for those conditions. Why practice with a football that's inflated and more difficult to handle and everything else if you're going to deflate it for the game? You're preparing yourself for worst case conditions and scenarios. That's what you're doing. Okay. So why all of a sudden cheat and make it considerably easier for yourself when you've prepared for the worst?
Okay, maybe they didn't consider it cheating because maybe they thought there was such leeway in preparing the balls that everybody was playing a little bit with the inflation of the ball, whether your quarterback liked it overinflated or underinflated. And again, we are talking about the coach known for having the greatest attention to detail probably in the history of football coaching, Bill Belichick. So you're telling me that a key detail he would be naive to, that he would find that beneath him to check with his quarterback on how you liked your ball pressure on Sundays? That's come on.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And not only that, you can sit there and shake your head all you want to. You have maybes. I have his definitive assertion that he is innocent of what he is being accused of. Do you have proof? I don't have proof. He's Bill Belichick. We can talk till the cows come home. We can sit there and spit in the wind all day long. He is Bill Belichick. If you don't have proof, I'm talking about the NFL. I'm talking about all of us in the media. I'm talking about all the Patriot haters out there because I'm on the record. I'm the one that went on the record yesterday, Skip, and said, if it is found that Bill Belichick is the guy that authorized this, he's got to be suspended for the year based on what happened to Sean Payton.
Okay.
I said that, but I said if, because he's Bill Belichick and his credentials speak for itself. And the bottom line is, if you don't have proof, everybody needs to shut up. Okay. Where's the proof?
All right.
Where's the proof? Because he did not. He's on the record. He didn't know about it. He didn't speak about it. He's categorically denying it. If we don't have proof, we need to chill. Okay,
and we need to discuss quickly one other key detail we did not have on yesterday's show, and that is the Patriots saying that at halftime, the correctly inflated balls were reinserted into the rotation. So in the second half, both teams, well, obviously the Patriots played with properly, legally inflated footballs. The score in the second half of the game was 28-0 New England. So